Faith, I've called you like 3 times. What's up with you today? You're just staring at the floor like the world is ending. Is everything okay?
I don't know, Joy. Things are just heavy. At home, it feels like nothing is working. My parents fight every day, and honestly, I feel like my life is falling apart with them. I've prayed, but it's like God doesn't hear me. I feel tired, honestly.
Oh Faith, I didn't know it was that bad. I'm sorry, that sounds really heavy.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like my whole life is just broken.
Good morning, my champions. You all look too serious today. Did someone steal your breakfast? Or maybe you're just waiting for me to feed you with a word. Alright. Today we're diving into one of my favorite people in the Bible, Nehemiah. And trust me, by the end of today, you'll see that his story is not just history. It's your story too. Today, I want to speak on this theme. This is how Nehemiah turned tears into victory. And trust me, this message will not just teach you a history, it will breathe life into your story. Let's begin with the background. Nehemiah lived in a time when God's people were in deep trouble. The city of Jerusalem, the holy city, was in ruins. The walls had been torn down. The gates had been burned with fire. And the people, they lived in shame and fear. Now listen carefully, walls in those days weren't just about protection. Walls meant identity, dignity, security. Without walls, a city was exposed to any enemy, to any attack, to shame. And maybe someone here understands what it feels like when your walls are broken. Your family in chaos. Your peace stolen. Your faith shaky. Nehemiah's story is your story. Nehemiah 1:4 When I heard these things, I sat down and wept. For some days, I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. Do you see this? Nehemiah was not too strong to cry. He was not too proud to weep. Tears are not weakness. Tears in God's presence are seeds of change. Nehemiah's tears became the starting point of Jerusalem's restoration. Hear me well, your tears, when you give them to God, are not wasted. They are the very place where victory begins. Now listen carefully, champions. Nehemiah didn't just sit in his tears. Some of us, that's where we stop. We cry, we complain, we tell everybody about our pain, but we never take the next step. Nehemiah wept, yes. But then he prayed. He fasted. He sought the face of God. That is where many victories are either won or lost, in the secret place. You see, pain can either push you into depression or push you into God's presence. Which one will it be for you? When the walls of your life are broken, maybe your family is fighting every day, maybe your finances are in ashes, maybe your mind is tormented with anxiety, you have 2 choices, remain in ruins, or rise in prayer. Nehemiah chose prayer. He turned his tears into a weapon. And champions, the devil is never afraid of your tears, but he trembles when your tears turn into prayer. Let me give you an example. I once met a young man who grew up in a home where his parents fought constantly. Every night, he cried himself to sleep. He said, "Pastor, I thought God had abandoned me." But one day, instead of crying himself into bitterness, he cried himself into prayer. He began whispering at night, "God, change my family. God, heal this home." It didn't happen overnight, but step by step, peace entered that house. Today, that young man is leading a prayer group in his university. Why? Because like Nehemiah, he turned tears into intercession. Nehemiah reminds us, before you rebuild outside, you must first rebuild inside. The walls of Jerusalem could not rise until Nehemiah's spirit rose in prayer. Champions, hear this, restoration begins in the heart before it shows in the hands. Now listen, Nehemiah did not just pray, "God, help me, God, bless me." No. His prayer was bigger than himself. He confessed the sins of his people. He stood in the gap for a nation. He said, "We have sinned against you." Do you see the power of that? Champions, true prayer is not selfish. True prayer is standing before God and saying, Lord, forgive us. Heal us. Restore us. Use me for your glory. That's why Nehemiah's prayer shook heaven, because it was not just about his comfort, it was about God's kingdom. Some of us pray only for money, for a job, for success. But Nehemiah prayed for God's name to be honored, for God's city to be rebuilt. And that's when heaven responds. Let me tell you the truth, if your prayer is only about you, it will die with you. But if your prayer is about God's kingdom, it will outlive you. Nehemiah's prayer still preaches to us today, thousands of years later. Some years ago, I met a woman whose family was falling apart. Her husband had left, her children were rebellious. She told me, Pastor, every time I prayed, I only asked God to fix my pain. But nothing was changing. I asked her, what if you start praying not just for yourself, but for your children's destiny, for your husband's soul, for God's glory in your home? She shifted her prayer. She began saying, Lord, save my husband so your name will be glorified. Lord, raise my children to be testimonies of your grace. And champions, within months, things began to shift. Today, her home is restored. Why? Because she prayed beyond her pain. She prayed God's heart. That's what Nehemiah teaches us. Don't just cry about your situation. Ask God, how can this situation bring you glory? How can this pain become a platform for your power? That's when vision is born. Tears birthed his prayer, and prayer birthed his vision. That's why he rose from prayer not empty, but with a plan.
Sir, what if you have been praying for your family for years, like Nehemiah, but nothing seems to change? What if your walls are still broken, no matter how much you cry or fast? Does it mean God is not listening?
Faith. That's a question many people carry in their hearts, but are too afraid to ask. What if I have prayed, and nothing changes? You are not alone. Even Nehemiah prayed for days. The Bible says he mourned, he fasted, he sought God for a long season. And for a while, nothing happened. Jerusalem was still in ruins. The walls were still down. The gates still burned. So, hear me well, unanswered prayers do not mean unheard prayers. Heaven can be silent, but it is never deaf. Sometimes, God delays not to deny you, but to prepare you, to strengthen you, to align the timing. Think about it. Nehemiah was a cupbearer. He had no power, no army, no building experience. If God had answered him the first day, what would he have done? Nothing! He had no tools, no authority. But as he kept praying, God was preparing the king's heart. God was arranging resources. God was shaping Nehemiah's courage. By the time the answer came, Nehemiah was ready, and so was the provision. I once spoke with a young lady who prayed for years for her father to stop drinking. She said, Pastor, every day I begged God, and every day he came home worse. She almost gave up. But 10 years later, 10 years. That same father walked into church, gave his life to Christ, and today he serves as an usher. She cried, why did God wait so long? Do you know what I told her? God was not just working on her father, he was also working on her. Teaching her perseverance. Teaching her faith. Teaching her to love even when it hurt. She thought nothing was happening, but God was building walls inside her while preparing to rebuild her father. So faith, don't stop praying. Don't stop believing. Even if you see no change, keep building in prayer. Because prayer is not wasted energy, prayer is spiritual construction. Every tear you pray is another stone laid in the wall. Every fast is another gate being restored. You may not see the wall rising yet, but in the spirit realm, the work has already begun. Nehemiah's walls didn't rise in one day. It was step by step, brick by brick. And your story will be the same, little by little, prayer by prayer, until suddenly, you will look back and say, the wall is standing again. Champions, hear this clearly. Tears and prayer are only the beginning. Nehemiah did not stop at morning. He fasted. He prayed. And then he prepared. He surveyed the ruins. He considered the challenges. He laid out the plan. Action came with faith. Prayer was his blueprint, but his hands built the walls. Many believers stop at prayer. They cry, they fast, they ask, and then they wait passively for change. That is not faith. True faith moves while it waits. True faith acts in obedience while trusting God's timing. Nehemiah's heart was fixed on God's purpose. He knew the walls of Jerusalem were more than bricks and mortar. They were the identity, security, and dignity of God's people. And so, he persevered. He kept his eyes on the vision God had given him, even when the obstacles seemed impossible. Remember this, waiting is not an activity. Waiting is preparation. Waiting is the workshop where God shapes your spirit, strengthens your resolve, and equips your hands to do the work. When the time comes, you will be ready. And because of that preparation, victory will not be delayed. Nehemiah's walls did not rise in a day. Each stone was placed with careful thought. Each decision was weighed. Each action was taken with prayer in the heart. Step by step, the city was restored. And your walls, your struggles, your brokenness, your life, will rise in the same way, brick by brick, moment by moment, prayer by prayer. Now, champions, I want you to see something important. Nehemiah's story is not just about walls and cities, it is about people. About faith. About courage. About standing firm when the world doubts you. Faith, joy. Listen carefully. Nehemiah had a vision, yes. But he did not work alone. He inspired others to rise with him. He shared the burden of the broken city. He reminded them of God's power. He motivated them to take action, even when fear tried to hold them back. And that is what you must understand. God does not call only one person to rebuild. He calls those who are ready in heart, in spirit, and in faith to rally together. Your tears, your prayers, your preparation, they will move others. Your courage will awaken courage in someone else. Your obedience will light the path for those who are lost or fearful. So faith, joy, I want you to feel this in your heart. Your struggles, your moments of doubt, your pain, they are not meaningless. God is using your faith to strengthen others, to restore hope, and to rebuild what was broken. Nehemiah's walls rose because he acted with courage and inspired others to act with him. Your walls, your family, your heart, your life, will rise for the same reason. Your faith will inspire action, even in others. And now, champions, hear this clearly, the walls of Jerusalem were broken. The people were discouraged. The enemies mocked them. But Nehemiah did not stop. He prayed, he planned, he persevered, and he led with vision and courage. Faith, joy. When you leave here today, carry this truth in your hearts. Your prayers matter. Your faith matters. Your courage matters. And even when you feel small, even when the walls seem impossible to rebuild, God is with you. He is guiding your hands, strengthening your spirit, and preparing the path ahead. Look at each other now. See the faith in your fellow champions. Know this, you are not alone. And together, your faith and courage will rebuild what has been broken.
Faith. Do you realize what he's saying? That our tears, our prayers, even when nothing seems to happen, they're not wasted. It's like God is building in us before he builds around us.
Yes, Joy, and I never thought about it like that before. That preparation isn't just about waiting for God to move, it's about what he's doing in us while we wait. Our faith, our courage, our hearts, they're part of the wall too.
I feel like I can face things differently now. Even the things that seemed impossible, even the walls that felt too high, they can rise, step by step. And I'm learning that I have to be part of the building too, not just sit and hope.
Yes, And even when we feel small or weak, or like nothing will change, Nehemiah shows us that God can use us anyway. One prayer, one step, one act of faith at a time. That's powerful. You know, I think I finally understand. It's not just about praying and waiting for God to move. It's about letting Him work in me while I wait. My walls, my heart, my courage, they're all being built, brick by brick, step by step. I've been so focused on seeing change around me, my family, my situation, the things I've been praying for, that I forgot to let God change me. But today, I see it clearly. My prayers are not wasted. My tears are not wasted. Every time I've fasted, every time I've wept, God has been shaping me, giving me courage, giving me vision, and like Nehemiah, I realize now that I have a role to play too. I can't just wait. I must pray, yes, but I must also prepare. I must act in faith, and I must trust that God will do the rest. My walls, the walls in my life, in my family, in my faith, they will rise. They might take time, and it might be hard, but step by step, prayer by prayer, brick by brick, I will see victory.
Wow. Hearing Faith speak just now, it really hit me. Can you feel it too? That sense that even when nothing seems to change, even when life feels broken, God is at work inside you. He is building courage, shaping your faith, and preparing you for victory. I want you to know something important. Your story matters. Your tears matter. Your prayers matter. Every time you choose to trust Him, every time you choose to move forward with faith, you are laying another stone in your wall. Your walls will rise. Your victory is coming. Now, I want us to take a moment together, right here, right now, to remind ourselves of one truth: we are not alone. Just like Nehemiah inspired the people to rebuild Jerusalem, God is calling you to rise too. Whatever walls you are facing, maybe it's in your family, your school, your job, your faith, God is asking you to step forward with courage. Not tomorrow, not later, now. And hey, if you're watching this and feeling that spark in your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Join this community. Comment below what God is building in you. Let's encourage one another. Let's lift each other. Share your story, your prayers, your victories, your struggles. You never know who God will use your words to strengthen. And I also want to invite you to subscribe. Hit that button. Become part of this family. We are learning, growing, and building together. Here, your tears are not wasted. Your prayers are not forgotten. And your walls, they will rise. For the next 30 minutes, I want us to reflect together. Think about your walls. Think about what you've prayed for. Think about how God has been shaping you while you've been waiting. If you're ready, let's breathe in that truth. Every stone you've placed in faith, every tear you've given in prayer, every small act of courage, is building your victory. And as you watch, comment below with one wall you are trusting God to rebuild. Tell us, is it your faith, your family, your courage, your peace? Let's lift our voices together. Let's pray for one another. And remember, Nehemiah didn't wait alone, he rallied others. And here, in this community, we rise together. So if you feel God nudging your heart, type it in the comments. Share your prayer, share your hope, encourage someone else. And as you do, hit that subscribe button, because we're going to continue walking this journey together. We'll study, reflect, and grow, brick by brick, prayer by prayer. Take a moment to close your eyes. Imagine your walls being rebuilt. Feel the strength in your hands. Feel the courage in your heart. Feel God moving in your life. Breathe it in. Let it fill you. This is your moment. This is your story. And it's only just beginning. For the next half hour, I want you to stay here with me. Comment, share, pray silently, or just reflect. Let God speak to you as we remember. Tears are seeds of victory. Prayer is the blueprint. Courage is the foundation. And faith is the brick that will rebuild your walls.
Champions, before we close today, I want to give you a challenge. This is not just a lesson to watch. This is a call to act in your faith. Look at your life. Look at your walls. The walls that have been broken by fear, by disappointment, by struggles that seem too heavy to bear. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what wall in my life am I going to start rebuilding today? Here's the truth. Nehemiah wept, he prayed, he fasted, But he didn't wait passively for change. He acted, he planned, he stepped into the ruins. He trusted God and used his hands to build. Your faith must do the same. So here's what I want you to do right now. Comment below one wall in your life that you are committing to rebuild. Maybe it's your courage, your family, your faith, your peace, your dreams. Write it, speak it, declare it, because words in faith are stones in your wall. Then I want you to ask yourself, what is one step I can take today, no matter how small, to start rebuilding that wall? Share it in the comments too. Encourage someone else. Inspire someone else. We are not just watching a story unfold, we are becoming a community of builders, brick by brick, prayer by prayer, step by step. And remember this, your walls will rise. Your prayers will not return void. Your tears will not be wasted. But it starts with you, with your faith, your courage, your willingness to act while trusting God. So champions, type in the comments your wall. Type in the comments your first step. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Join us. Become part of this journey. Together, we will see walls rebuilt. Together, we will see lives restored. Now go. Act in faith. Pray with passion. Build with courage. And comment below. Your wall is waiting for you to begin.